Hello, my name is Keshwani. It's Keshwani, Keshwani. We are here because we want to prepare for the GMAT. We have been solving GMAT math problems out of this book here, GMAT Review, the official guide, the 13th edition. If you do not own this book already, purchase one immediately. You're going to need it. This book contains 230 problem-solving questions. It has 174 data sufficiency questions. We have already solved every single math problem from this book. If you're interested in watching the original solutions to the problems, you will find the original solutions from day number 1 through 250. Right now, we are in the middle of redoing the problem, resolving them, and we are on page number 156. Please turn to it. Page number 156, and problem number 35 is what we're going to work on. Number 35, the very last problem on page 156. We are being asked to calculate square root of 16 times 20 plus 8 times 32. Now the very first thing we need to understand, the very first thing we need to realize here, that when they give you something like this, when they give us something like this, we have to understand and we have to realize that the brute force is not what they're looking for. This problem can be done very easily, it's not a difficult problem, but if you try to do it with brute force, it becomes very tedious and very time consuming. That is not what they're looking for. They're not trying to see here how fast you can multiply and add and subtract. They're trying to see if you have any technique, they are trying to see if you have any trick, they're trying to see if you can find any mathematical, conceptual shortcut to it. Let's see what we can do. We have 16 times 20. We have here 16 times 20. And here we have 8 times 32. Can we write 8 times 32 as, we can write 32 as 2 times 16. 2 times 16 is 8 times 32. Now we see 16 here and we see a 16 here. We see a common factor. Let's see what happens if we take out the common factor. Now why do we want to take out the common factor of 16? Why do we want to take out the common factor of 16 and why not take out common factor of 8 or some other number? Because 16 happens to be a perfect square and we can take a square root of 16 very easily. So let's take out common. If we take out common here, 16, we are left from the first term here, we are left with 20. Once we take out 16, we are left with 8 times 2, which is another 16. And that's 20 plus 16, of course, is 36. So essentially, what they gave us here, this quantity, boils down to this quantity. And now we can take a square root of it very easily. It's just 4 times 6. 4 times 6 is 24. The answer is 24. Let's do one more, shall we? Let's do one more. Let's do it here. 25 times 3 plus 50 times 3. Take a square root of it. Again, I see a 25 here, which is a perfect square. If we can somehow get a 25 out of this term, we are all set. So let's see what we can do. 25 times 3, and this 50 times 3 can be written as 25 times 6. Do you notice something? Now we can take a 25 common, we can take out 25 common, and inside we'll be left with 3 plus 6, which is 9, which is another perfect square. So we can take out 25 common, and we are left with 3 plus 6, which is simply 25 times 9, and now we can take a square root of it very easily, which is simply 5 times 3, which is 15. The difference between the two questions, the difference between this problem and this problem is that this problem will never appear in the exam. This problem will never appear in the exam. Can you tell me why? Why would something like this never appear in the exam? Because this is so simple that it can actually be done with brute force in a reasonable amount of time, in a very short period of time. It's very simple. 25 times 3 is 75, and 50 times 3 is 150. 150 plus 75 is root of 225, and root of 225, everybody knows, is 15. It can be very easily done with brute force without too much trouble. Whereas over here, if you try to do it with brute force, it will take some time. That's why something like this will never appear in the exam. It's too simple. Let's do one more, shall we? Let's do one more. Now the thing to do is that after I finish putting the problem on the blackboard, a good thing, a wise thing for you to do would be to pause the video and see if you can solve it yourself first, and then compare your work against the work that you and I will do together in a second. So here's the next one. 9 times 5 plus 18 times 10. Now this is another example of something that will never appear in the exam because it is too simple. It is way too simple. It can very easily be done with brute force. It's simply 180 plus 45. 180 plus 45 is 5, and 2 is 225. Square root of 225 is 15. It turns out the answer is the same again. But it's too simple. But what I want you to do is do this problem with some sort of a technique so that you can practice the technique here. Again, it's very simple. This is a 9. We have to somehow get a 9 here, a perfect square. So let's do that. 9 times 5 plus 18 can be written as 9 times 2 times 10. 9 times 2 is 18 right there. 9 times 2. And that can be written as 9 times 5 plus 9 times 20. Now we can take out the 9 common. We can take out 9 as the common factor. 9 comes out and we are left with 5 and a 20. 5 plus 20 is going to give us another perfect square. And that's it, we are done. Now we take a square root of it, it's just 3 times 5. Let's do one more, shall we? Let's do one more, we'll do probably 2 or 3 more. And this time I do want you to pause the video and do it yourself, okay? Because this is going to get a little bit more challenging. Let's do it here. 49 times 33 plus 7 times 21. See what you can do. Square root of this quantity. Again, nobody in their right mind will try to do this with brute force because it's going to take some time to multiply 49 times 33 and then 7 times 21 and then add up and then you get a huge number and then trying to figure out what the square root of that number is. There will be too much work to do it manually. There has to be a trick. Well, this is already 49. This is a perfect square. Somehow we have to get a 49 out of this one. We can write this 21 as 27 times 3. So we have 49 times 33 plus 7 times 7 is 49 times 3. There you go. Now we can take the 49 common. We can take out 49 common and left with 33 plus 3, which gives us another perfect square, 36. So it's 49 times 36, and now of course we can take a square root of it very easily. It's just 7 times 6. That's it. Let's do one more, shall we? One more. Pause the video as I said. As soon as I finish writing it, pause the video and do it yourself. Here's the next one. 25 times 2 plus 50 times 7. Pause the video, see what you can do. (25 times 2) and 50 can be written as 25 times 2 times 7, which is same as 25 times 14 plus 25 times 2. We have a 25 here and 25 here. We can take out the common factor 25 and we are left with 2 plus 14. 2 plus 14, which is another perfect square. So it's 25 times 16, which is simply 5 times 4, which is 20. Another example of a problem that will never appear in the real exam. It is too simple. It is way too simple. 50 times 7 is 350. 350 plus 50 is 400. Square root of 400 is 20. Everybody knows that. It can be done mentally in a matter of few seconds. This was just to give you practice on the technique. Let's do one more. (8 times 22 plus 16 times 70. Again, pause the video and do it yourself. Pause the video and do it yourself. We see a 16 here. We're going to get a 16 out of here. This can be written as 16 times 11 plus 16 times 70. Now we can take out the common factor of 16. And as soon as we take out the common factor of 16, we should realize that we get another perfect square. 11 plus 70 is going to give us a nice round number of 81, which is a perfect square. So take out 16 common, and we end up with 11 plus 70, which of course gives us 81. And then now we take a square root of it. We were supposed to find the square root of this quantity. We were supposed to find the square root of this quantity, and now it's simply 4 times 9. The final answer is 4 times 9. Want to do one more? Let's do one last one, okay? One last one. This is your challenge thing. Pause the video and do it yourself. 28 times 12 plus 32 times 2. 32 times 2. Now this is the challenge. Pause the video, do it yourself, see what you can do. This is the challenge because we teach 64 here. There is no way we can get 64 out of here. So 64 is not going to work. Somehow we have to get a different number. See, let's see what we can do if we can break it up. 28 can be written as 7 times 4. 12 can be written as 4 times 3. Plus 32 can be written as 4 times 8 and then 2. Oh, there you go. I see a 4 times 4 which is 16. I see 8 times 2 which is another 16. So we couldn't get 64 out of it, but we can get 16 out of it. Once we get 16 out of it, we'll be left with 7 times 3 which is 21 plus a 4 is going to give us 25. So let's take common factor of 16. We take out 16 commons and we get 7 times 3 which is going to give us 7 times 3 plus a 4 which is same as 16 times 21 plus 4 is 25, and the final and we take a square root of it and it's 4 times 5 which is 20. Well, actually this was simpler than I thought. Anyway, that was it. That was the final answer. That's what we're going to do today, okay? I'll see you tomorrow while we'll start a new page, okay? Bye now.